Seeing shapes. Some are made of shadow and some are made of light. A little golden shadow work. Last week in our Monday Zoom call for Inquiry Circle members, someone asked a question about golden shadow work. She first mentioned shadow work and how the work of Byron Katie can be a way of doing this kind of work, seeing your own inner shadows that might go otherwise unseen. This is also how I experienced the work of Byron Katie. I start out by identifying where I am judging the people and things around me. Then I look for ways that I do the same thing that I'm judging them as doing, or similar things as to what they do. And this often reveals surprises for me, and I get to see myself in ways that I would not normally see. I think of it as like holding a mirror up to myself. And when I look outward and notice my judgments about others in an outward direction, and then do the work of Byron Katie and turn those around and start looking at myself as well, I can often see things about myself that I wouldn't see if I wasn't using a mirror. Golden shadow work. The person asking the question took it further and mentioned this term golden shadow work and asked how the work of Byron Katie might relate to it. Now, first of all, I don't know much about shadow work in general. I know that term, it comes up from time to time, and it to me relates very clearly to what I do when I do the work of Byron Katie, but I really haven't studied shadow work, and so I may be grossly oversimplifying it here, and please take what I say as with a grain of salt, and it's from my point of view of doing the work of Byron Katie. So if I notice my judgments of others and turn them around, which is what I do when I do the work, I see my shadows, or you could call them hidden traits, things that I don't normally see because they're kind of hidden. They're too close to me, really, to be able to see. It doesn't really matter, though, if my judgments are positive or negative. When I turn them around, I look for those same traits in myself. In the work of Byron Katie, most of the time I do the work on negative judgments. That's the common way to do the work of Byron Katie. And these are the thoughts that are stressing me. And so they're the ones that are calling my attention. And they're the ones that really need the work. So I love to do the work on stressful thoughts in the work of Byron Katie, but doing the work on non stressful thoughts can also be very interesting. So when I'm doing the work on negative thoughts, I see how I am just like the people I am judging. And seeing that is actually healing because I kind of come down into a more humble position and I start to see myself in them. And so I stop judging them as much. But the same process of questioning judgments about people can be used to question positive thoughts about them as well. So again, this can be healing to see because it shows that I am just like the people I judge positively. And that can also be like something that is has a balancing effect on me. Here's an example. So find a specific situation to write a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, but instead of looking for a time when you felt a negative emotion, look for a time when you felt a positive emotion, where you were triggered, right? We usually think of the word triggered as a negative thing, but where you were triggered by someone or something else, but in a positive way. So, as always with the work, it has to be a real situation because you can't do this work in the abstract. So, for example, someone recently donated generously to our scholarship fund. And so, my Judge Your Neighbor worksheet in this situation would look like this. I am touched by him because he gave very generously. See how positive this is? The emotion is positive. I am touched. And then my reason for feeling touched is he gave very generously. Then, if I fill in the rest of the worksheet, I want him to know how much I appreciate it. I want him to continue donating in the future. He should be careful not to give too much. He should find the balance within himself. I need him to say, it wasn't personal. I need him to say, I was just responding to a genuine need. And then number 5, he is generous, kind, supportive, a good person. And number 6, I always want him to continue being such a generous person. So notice how I changed the worksheet a little bit. Instead of I don't ever want for line 6, I changed it to I always want. And in line 4, normally we write, in order for you to be happy, what do you need them to think, say, feel or do? So I modified that to, in order for you to not be overly happy, what do you need him to think, say, feel, or do? When I do the work on this positive Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, I'm going to find turnarounds like, I gave generously. I should be careful not to give too much. I need me to say it wasn't personal. And I look forward to him not continuing to be such a generous person. This is balance. This is what the work brings in my experience again and again and again. It brings balance. So there's a lot of potential freedom in these turnarounds because they bring the balance. Emotion, whether negative or positive, is a kind of imbalance, which often stems from some kind of attachment. So either I didn't get what I want, we call that negative, or I got what I want, we call that positive. But in both cases, there's attachment there. And doing the work always softens my attachments. So try this yourself. It can be fun to do some quote unquote golden shadow work in the form of questioning positive judgments about somebody. I found that this work reveals attachments even when they are getting fulfilled at the moment, and even when I'm feeling happy. The work provides balance and points me back to a more neutral place that is neither happy nor stressed. And I just love this option because I don't have to wait until I'm stressed to find out what I'm attached to. I can just notice what I'm judging in a positive way, and I may find that there is some attachment there that gets loosened when I start to do the work. Okay, so I'll end with a quote from Byron Katie. What we call good and what we call bad both come from the same place. And this is from her book, A Thousand Names for Joy.